There should be city and there should be a heart.
मैप में शेप देखोगे ना तो वो थोड़ा हार्ट जैसा ही दिखता है. You can see that it's like someone shoots somebody.
We knew that visually it will transition very well.
Son who becomes Dawood, like throwing like a Molotov cocktail. Hi, my name is Vijesh Rajan. I'm a motion design director at Plexus Motion Studios.
Hi, my name is Yashoda Parthasarthi. I'm a motion design director at Plexus Motion Studios, and today we'll be discussing the title sequence for Bambai Meri Jaan.
So the brief for the show was pretty open when we met Shujat Saudagar, the director. The idea was that there's a whole world that kind of lurks at night. There's a lot of things that happen that you don't really see except if you turn on the news, you know. So there's that whole aspect of crime, of the underbelly of Bombay, which Sujat wanted to kind of like bring to the forefront. And in the initial ideation, there were a couple of concepts that we went to him, which were very much related to the character, very much related to the story that's happening in the season. But then he was like, no, I want to detach from the characters and have a very different point of view, something that's away from all of that and looking down on it almost, you know. So then we kind of immediately cracked this idea that what if we show Mumbai, but it's not as though we are shooting it amidst the city and like in on the lanes or on the road. What if it's sort of like a God's eye view of the city? And that kind of immediately put a lot of really great ideas on how we can position the camera and what actions can happen there. And then the concept of one small brawl kind of becoming bigger and bigger and then like enveloping the city became the main concept of the show. So that's kind of how it evolved.
The process of this title sequence was very organic in the sense that we had several initial concepts and ideas that we had boarded and did animatics for. And this was right about the same time when the music was also evolving, you know. And when we finally cracked this concept, it was on this like call when we had finally we heard the final track, which is there on the sequence now. At that point, it didn't have the lyrics; it had this very beautiful hum. And when we heard that hum, and then when we were discussing the concept with Shujat, everything like the pieces of the puzzle sort of fell into place, and we realized that, oh, okay, this has to be about Bombay and about the life of the city. And what we cracked initially was like, इसमें city होना चाहिए, there should be city and there should be a heart, and the heart still beats despite all the chaos that's happening in the city, you know.
Yeah.
So then we pitched this, and Shujat loved it. He was like, "I love it. I'm enjoying this concept already. This is the show. This is what the title sequence should have."
The initial research was just like trying to get as many pictures from that era as possible, and we tried to cover between like 70s to 90s to see what was the overall kind of, was it as dense as is it now in terms of population or cars, what kind of buildings were there, because now there's a lot of new construction that has changed the face of Bombay. There are a lot of glass buildings, there are a lot of Western kind of architecture, which the old Bombay didn't have that. It had very, buildings had a lot more character, a lot more texture.
There were a lot more balconies without the grills and all of that. So we wanted to retain that
look.
That look.
At the end of the day, no matter what all is happening in the background, Bombay still is a city of dreams, you know.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to give this look that that evokes some kind of like dream-like emotion, you know. and that's why we kind of framed it macro and made everything look very blurry and like with the anamorphic kind of bokeh and stuff like that. So it looks very pretty in that first sight. We made sure that the roads looked like it had just had fresh rain, so everything was reflecting more. So it had that bounce and everything just looked very gleamy. So all of these were factors that we put into it. And it all came from the research that we did. It all evoked a lot of these emotions.
So, regarding the fonts, we did a lot of research on the kind of films that released during that era. And one thing that really stood out for us was these fonts which were hand painted, but they were slanted. Despite all the grunge and all the crimes that are happening within the sequence, within the show, the life of the people and the life of the city, or the lens with which we view Mumbai is like this very royal, grand, posh place of this, of this mix of,
Correct.
all the, like a very cosmopolitan mix of richness. So we wanted to emulate that using an overlay which had this gold, almost sort of like a grand, grandiousness to it, which we used for all the credits and also the main titles. The Gateway of India was like, I think it was a given, because like if in the first episode, the episode ends on this wash of water that's sort of like cleaning up the blood. And even with our earlier discussions with Shujat, there was we knew that he wanted that to be incorporated in some manner or form where it transitions into the title sequence beautifully. And what better place to do it rather than Gateway and the ocean right next to it. So we knew that visually it will transition very well. And nothing says Bombay like the Gateway, like the first shot you don't have to explain anything
where
further,
it's set, you immediately see it right there. In the sequence of the story, it starts off with a killing inside an apartment, and you can see that it's like someone shoots somebody, and you can see a silhouette. And then we want to show how that kind of grows, and it becomes a series of revenge, revenge-based, conflicts. And so that's why it started there, and then we try to show it happening in various different backgrounds, where we see the rich also fighting, we see the poor also fighting, we see various sects of society living in various parts of Bombay, all kind of somehow getting pulled into this mess, and that's why we decided to, for the train, I felt like it kind of represents Dharavi kind of area, and when it comes to where if you're talking about Dawood and his team and where his people came from, there's no real one small place. There's like people from Ghatkopar also, and there's people from Andheri also, from all over Bombay. There were people who were part of his big clan, and so if any fights happened between gangs, then you would see that happening all over Bombay, and the police had very little control over it back then until the whole encounter started. So we wanted to show that, like how it goes from one small thing, one incident, it kind of becomes larger and larger, and like it ends up in that grand shot of the explosion of the car in the middle of the highway. So what we were trying to establish in that car blast scene was that in the sense of the observer, we are slowly moving further and further away. So it starts where we're pretty close to the buildings and we can see action happening up close. So that car on the bridge was that final top angle view before we see like a even more cityscape view, And of course, like again, like in the mix of like the kind of different people who were involved in conflict, we thought that someone who's riding a car on a highway might not know that there's a bomb strapped to him because he rubbed some gangster wrong in a wrong way.
On that call with Shujat, when we were just throwing out more and more ideas, because everything else, because we did go into several debates of should we make it a good versus bad, cop versus underworld kind of themes that were being explored, initially. But somehow when we were having that discussion, it just felt like नहीं, ये बॉम्बे है, ये बम्बई की जान ना चलती रहेगी. यहाँ कोई भी आए फर्क नहीं पड़ता, कोई भी कुछ भी कर ले फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It's gonna keep on going and it's gonna keep living.
The city has a life of its own.
Yeah.
And we also kind of, just to convince him, we were like, Bombay का आप map में shape देखोगे ना तो वो थोड़ा hard जैसा ही दिखता है. And he's like, yeah, I see what you're saying. But I think he just wanted to kind of, he liked the idea, so he went with it. But basically it's also, the whole show is about a father and a son, and about how the father is defeated by the system. He was a faithful cop, and now the system has kind of thrown him to the street almost. Like he's lost everything: his name, his his identity, and his kids take the path of crime. And he has a constant kind of dialogue between him and between himself and his son, who becomes Dawood. Actually, Dara is the name of the character in the show. But that, I think, is a very it's a father and son story, which I didn't expect when I was going in to watch the show. I thought, oh, it's all about the glitz and glamour of being a gangster in Bombay and like what all they've done. But it's not that. It's from a very different perspective. So that's why the name Bambai Meri Jaan also kind of is very important, and it evokes a certain kind of emotion, And that's why we felt like this heart symbol is something that we should have.
Poetry. Yeah, poetry is the way I would describe the title sequence, because for me it's that, with the song, with the feel, it's poetry.
For me, that one-liner has always been that it's just a conflict that goes way beyond, just a conflict that spirals out of control. But how the city is just so magical that it's not affected by it. At the end of the day, it's still a beautiful, thriving city,
Life goes on.
Yeah. The city goes on.
The city goes on.
Mumbai
The life
spirit.
of the city goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, sum it up once again.
Mumbai spirit. Thank you for watching us decode the Bambai Meri Jaan title sequence.
If you liked it, then please do like, share and subscribe to IGN India. And please do leave comments below and share your thoughts.